All right, that's a picture of where we're at right now. Obviously not good enough. The turnovers, the explosive plays. I thought our tackling was not great. We let a couple of plays out that, we had stopped, essentially for nothing. And, we let them get through to the second level. I think anytime you have 4 turnovers in a game, you give, an offense with a bunch of weapons, more opportunities, this is the outcome. This is what happens here. I'm proud of the guys for finishing. I'm proud of them for continuing to play. But they know as well as I know that's not good enough. But it was a good chance to just look at them in the eye and say, look, this is where we are at right now. And we got to look at the tape. We have to grow from this. We have to take care of the basic things that we've been working on and just take a next step this week. But certainly disappointed in how we played today, especially with all the things that we emphasize.
Dave, given the way the passing game was operating, when you decided to go empty on 4th and 1,
Yes.
What was the logic behind that play?
Yeah, we just liked our matchup. Felt like we had a good concept right there, and it didn't work out. But that was a situation where it's a play that we know. Wanted to put our guys in a comfortable position with good answers for it, and we didn't execute.
At the end of that play, Bryce comes to the sideline. You said something to him. He said something back. He slammed his helmet. Was he upset with the play call?
I'm never going to share that kind of stuff with, publicly. I think that's just something that he and I will work through, and talk about. But, his frustration wasn't directed at me in that. We were just talking about we got to keep playing ball, and I've been in situations, I've been in these games. I'm sitting there with an onside kick opportunity thinking, shoot, let's get it. Let's go score again. Let's see if we can make it happen quickly and trying to keep hope alive there. But, I think it was just a frustrating day in general. So, I think there's a lot of guys that would come up here and tell you they wish they could do better.
I think the snaps were coming a little higher.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, we just had, we really just got to figure out just calming down the cadence part, and getting everybody sorted out in the protection. I got to give a credit to the Jags. Thought they did a good job of presenting some issues with pressures. We had some success against what they did. They got us a few times. They chose a very aggressive approach, but we had a plan for it, and I think it's just making sure that we get the whole rhythm and organization from the center and everybody else on the same page so that we're ready to go.
Dave, you guys spent the entire summer working on what you were going to do on offense and defense. This is the second week 1 in a row where you guys have been blown out in a game. What do you think the disconnect is going from training camp, where you said you guys have had great practices, to week 1?
I wish I could tell you that. It's disappointing. We're all disappointed. Felt really good about the work we've put in. It did not show up today. And that's something that I was able to talk to the group about. It's like, guys, we know what we have in this room, but it just comes down to finishing plays, finishing drives when we get our red zone opportunities, stopping them when they get down there, and it really just comes down to that. That's a part of our game that we have to pride ourselves on, and that's the growth that we have.
What is in the locker room right now?
Honestly, disappointed, but at the same time, I think there's a look of surprise a little bit for the guys because they know what kind of group we have in there, and this was not up to the standard that of our expectations for how we play. But the guys are pretty focused on all right, we get back to work, and this is words coming from the players. We get right back to work tomorrow. We have another week coming up, going out to Arizona, and we have to make sure we're able to take the lessons, grow, and flip the switch so we can just get right back to work.
Dave, this has happened a lot of years, this sort of opener. Now, I know you've only been here for 2 of them.
Yep.
But I wonder what you would tell Panther fans who've suffered through a 2-15 before you. And I mean, a lot of them will look at this result and go, man, it's the same old Panthers again.
We're just going to get back to work, fix the things, watch the film, grow, and just continue to advance our football.
Dave, you guys spent a lot of money in free agency on this defense. And last year, you guys gave up a ton of rushing yards. This year, this game, it was pretty much the same thing. What do you think the issue is there?
Got to look at it. I think some of it's tackling, just fundamentals of football, really, and also opportunities. We turned the ball over 4 times, Really, the last one was at the end of the game, but you're talking about 3 meaningful turnovers throughout the course of the game. When you give an offense that has talent, that has special players like that, and you give them more opportunities, then we start to expose ourselves, and that's part of playing complementary football, is we have to be able to take care of the ball on offense, and then we got to be able to get off the field on defense, So I think it really just, it plays both ways. When you don't play complementary football, then all of a sudden you're giving the other team opportunities.
There was
The honor is
a pretty long weather stoppage.
Yeah.
What did y'all do during that time? Because I felt like y'all would come out with a pop and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, both teams, we both had to go in for the weather delay, and we talked to the guys, worked through some adjustments with the amount of, film and things that we had going in, got their body right and ready to go to come out. And, again, it was just like a little bit more of the same. So I think it's just a matter of us just looking at the film and continuing to improve on our fundamentals.
On your young receiving crew, Leggett has a play that he doesn't get a second toe down.
Yeah.
T-Mac has a play in the end zone
Yep.
that he didn't get his second hand up. Both of those plays should have been made.
Absolutely, looking for those guys to just finish the plays, to execute. I'm excited for this group that we have. I'm excited for what I saw, for the couple of drives that we put together to see the guys win and get open and make their plays. But we got to make all the ones that you're supposed to make. And that's the sign of consistency. That's a sign of maturity to continue to grow and make those plays. We're counting on them to do that. And we'll keep giving them ops. That's just what we're going to do. These are the guys we have. We love them, and I'm fired up for this group. But at the same time, they'll be the first ones to come up here and tell you, I got to make that play. And that's what I really want us to just grasp. The consistency it takes to be really good is you make all the ones you're supposed to make and some of the special ones every once in a while when you have to.
What did you say to Bryce after the game?
Back to work. Let's go back to work. I just really, to Bryce, to the whole group, really, like, we have to look in the mirror. This is where we are at today. The film is the truth. This is where we're at. Do we have the character to keep pushing forward, to keep getting better at our fundamentals?
Dave, what's the status on Turk Wharton?
We're evaluating for our hamstring, so we're going to get an MRI on that, and then we'll have more information. But we had to shut him down for the game.
Was there any other injuries that you
Let's see. Pat Jones had an ankle, and I think that was pretty much it. A couple of this and that's, but those are the two main ones that we'll look at.
And Dave, y'all were 8 of 15 on third down, which at first glance is pretty good.
Yeah.
How do you absorb that and bridge that gap with the final result?
Turnovers. And that's really what it is. When you have a 50% or better day on third down, that typically means longer drives. That typically means more rushing yards, more chances for explosives as the defense starts to show us their hand and what they're doing. And to end in turnovers, we weren't able to capitalize on a day that could have been a really consistent, complimentary day of football.
Dave, you mentioned the snaps, and you say
Yeah.
calm down the cadence. Could you
Yeah.
clarify what you mean by that?
I think it's just Austin and Bryce, as we're going through, just making sure we have the protection right, just making sure we're on the same page.
How did Josh do in his debut?
I thought he had a solid day. For the most part, really no issues. He got beat a couple times, which, Josh Hines Allen's a fantastic player. But I thought he did a solid job filling in there, especially, being able to run the ball, being able to throw the ball when we had to, So I'm really appreciative of having, Josh. And so I was really proud of what he did today.
Did you feel like you had the team prepared well enough?
I believe so. I thought we had a great camp. I thought we had a fantastic amount of work. I think the fitness of the group was excellent. When I looked out there, we're finishing the game playing hard still. So to me, it's like the physical readiness was there. I have to look at myself and say, okay, how did we not prepare these guys to be able to finish the way we want to be able to finish the plays consistently? I have to look at that.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.